Prosecutors carefully laid plans out to put Donald Trump on trial, and those plans have nearly all with less than 8 months until Election Day. Politico notes it still seems conceivable Trump could face a jury in 2 or even 3 of the cases before the year is out, though each day that passes without resolution makes cramming multiple trials into 2024 unlikely. So we are starting this hour with a look at what comes next in Georgia, in Florida, New York, and Washington, D.C. as the clock keeps ticking toward November. Joining us now is MSNBC legal analyst Mary McCord. She's the former acting assistant attorney general for national security at the Justice Department and co-host of an amazing podcast, Prosecuting Donald Trump. Also with us in Miami is Palm Beach County State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg. Perhaps we all need to take this party to Miami next time.
I think that's where we need to be in Miami. But right now we're here with Mary in Washington. Thank you for being here. If you could just do a sort of a scene setting for us about where the state of play in these cases are. My contention has been for some time that Donald Trump was going to use this system to effectively manipulate it into doing the jungle gym thing, jumping all over itself. With the end goal being delay, delay, delay. In my estimation, tell me if I'm wrong, he's achieved that goal because it looks like none of these cases are going to land anywhere near starting, let alone completing, by the November presidential election.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting strategy because he hasn't really won motions. He's basically lost on a lot of his legal arguments, but he has won on delay because he keeps, throwing grist into the wheels and slowing things down. And so, I do still think there is a chance for 1 or 2 trials to start, but it's also quite possible they won't. So in Georgia, obviously, we don't have a trial date set at all. Mm-hmm. We've now had the prosecutorial team changed pretty dramatically because the lead special assistant DA, who was going to be, I think, really leading that trial, has now come off the case. So we've got Fonnie Willis still on it, but they're going to have to make adjustments if they're going to be able to go to trial. And we don't have a trial date there. In Florida, Judge Cannon did rule on 1 of 2 motions she heard last week. She ruled against Donald Trump on a motion to dismiss the indictment on the grounds that it was basically too vague, that the charges of Espionage Act violations, which are the charges related to that mishandling and retention of national defense information, she denied a motion to dismiss on the grounds that those charges are too vague as applied to Mr. Trump. But it was a denial without prejudice to maybe take this up again at trial. Nevertheless, in denying that, she still has not set a trial date. So we are still in limbo as to whether there'll be a trial date. And then, of course, in New York, we thought we were going to be starting trial a week from tomorrow. And now, because of a very last-minute dump of documents by the Southern District of New York, which, of course, we can get into, Judge Merchan has said we're going to take at least 30 days before this trial will start. Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, agreed to that, with this late document dump, he agreed that there should be a recess. But it's possible, that 30 days, he still hasn't even said definitely that it's going to start in 30 days. And he's going to have a hearing March 25th, the original date for the start of trial, on not just when to start the trial date, but whether to grant Mr. Trump's motion to dismiss the whole case. So, and of course, for Jack Smith's January 6th related case, that case is on hold pending the Supreme Court hearing the presidential immunity arguments. So that's the state of play for the 4
In other words, Trump won.
I just refuse to say that. I refuse to say that.
He won his delays.
I have to say, friends, every time the timeline changes, I worry foremost for democracy. I worry secondarily for our graphics department, which has to figure out how to express visually this very complicated timeline. I want to pull up Politico's 5 big questions about this Trump legal calendar, because I think that they do a good job of synthesizing this. There's the question of who will go first. Could the Supreme Court further upend the schedule? What is taking so long in Florida? Will a New York delay benefit the Florida prosecution? Could the Georgia trial still take place before November? Let's talk about Florida. Dave Ehrenberg, what is taking so long?
Well, it's good to be with you in the 305, Alicia.
Yes.
This is my original hometown, born and raised. And, Peter Navarro, the most insufferable MAGA guy, will be living here soon, too, in an orange jumpsuit. So looking forward to that. And as far as what's taking the Florida case so long, well, you've got Judge Cannon. Judge Cannon is a newbie on the bench, and she has given in to all the delays that Trump has wanted. She was appointed by Donald Trump. I'm not going to say there's corruption. I'm just going to say she's new, and she's been giving Donald Trump great deference. And because you're dealing with a law like CIPA, which governs classified documents, I never expected this trial to occur before the election, which is a shame because I think the Mar-a-Lago documents case is the strongest case against Donald Trump, but it's the least likely to be heard before the election. I think there are only two cases that have a shot to be heard before the election. That's the one in New York, hush money case, and the one in D.C. With Judge Chutkan, because they both have judges who ain't fooling around. They want it to go.
So let's talk. We're going to talk in the next block, Mary, about those two cases. But I want to make sure that we talk about Georgia here and about the classified documents case. So on the question of Georgia, as you said, no trial date. The question, of course, even if there was a trial date, right, even if that trial date got set for August, you had Nathan Wade before he resigned saying it probably would be the type of trial that would take 4 months. That takes you well past Election Day. So for folks who are watching and asking a very specific question, which is, will any of these cases be decided before Election Day? What does that timeline now look like?
Well, I think with respect to the Georgia case, that's not the one I think that we can expect to come to a conclusion before the election. I mean,
why not? Because previously people said it was.
Well,
break it down, Mary.
I mean, for one reason, obviously we don't have a date. But assuming we do, remember, that's not just a single defendant case, right? That's Mr. Trump and like 14 other people, 15, I guess. 19 originally indicted. I think 4 have pleaded guilty. That means for every witness, you've got cross-examination by attorneys for all of those folks, unless she breaks it into smaller chunks. And there has been discussion about breaking this into pieces, but there haven't been decisions made on that. So we're just talking about a trial taking a long time. But as I said a few minutes ago, when you have just removed sort of the lead special DA who led the grand jury investigation, who probably knows the facts maybe better than anyone else in that office, someone else is going to have to get up to speed. Now, that's entirely possible to do. I was a prosecutor for a long time, particularly if it's not going to start until maybe August. There's time to do that. But we haven't really heard anything serious about an August trial date. And the other thing to keep in mind is all of these judges, you know, any case that goes is going to impact any other case's time frame, because judges who are coming second or third are going to want to make sure that Mr. Trump and his attorneys have adequate time to prepare for each trial. So if, for example, the New York trial starts in mid-April, let's say it goes 3 weeks, let's say then that the Supreme Court denies immunity, sends the January 6th case back down to Judge Chutkan. Not only has she already said, I'm going to give you the full 88 days that you would have had originally prepared, she's also going to be having to contend with arguments by Mr. Trump that because they spent so much time on the New York case, they need extra time to prepare for the D.C. case. So each case sort of like ends up having an impact on the next, and particularly when so many of these trial dates are in play. Like if they'd all been set, then everyone would have just known what to plan for. But necessarily, and part of the strategy is to delay each one of those, causing that domino effect on all of the rest.
So, well, the first political question on that thing was who will go first. Now, who do we think is going to go first?
Right. That's a question that I think is important for everybody out there. Which, as this thing is now stacked up, to Simone's point, which case actually winds up hitting and landing first in this whole thing?
Well, I think that it is still most likely to be the New York case, the election interference case based on payments to prevent Stormy Daniels from speaking out about the sexual affair with Donald Trump during the 26th election. You know, don't forget this one. We're going back 2 elections ago, right, to what happened here. And I say that because if Judge Merchan does not dismiss the case, and I don't think he's going to dismiss the case, at least based on what we know now about these motions that have to do with discovery, then we are looking at probably an April start. And there's no way that the D.C. January 6th case can start that early, because the Supreme Court's not even hearing argument in that case until April 25th. So the most likely, I think, is the New York case. And then I think the second most likely is the D.C. January 6th case.
Dave, I don't
Dave
want
Aronberg.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Delicia. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. In the middle of all of this, there is the possibility of NBC News confirming that House Oversight Democrats are considering inviting Michael Cohen to testify at the March 20th hearing that Hunter Biden, as you know, is declining to attend. They would ask Cohen about Trump's overseas business dealings to contrast the GOP attacks with Hunter. What do you think about that as a strategy?
That's fine, but you got to be careful because he's the key witness in the New York hush money case. And his lawyer does not want him to speak in advance. You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that case, because I agree with Mary. That still is the case most likely to go first. You have Judge Merchan, who wants it to go, and he just issued a 30-day delay, which could have been worse. Remember, Trump's team wanted a 90-day delay. So I still think that one's going to go. So there could be justice before the election. But as far as calling Michael Cohen as a witness, he's a great witness. He's very candid, very forthright, but he's limited on what he can say because of that trial.